Since when are we on a flight path? Don't you start. I do not need to be on a flight path along with everything else. That's right. You better run, Airbus. A few people on the internet have been getting a bit grumpy this week because Marvel, in their TV show Loki, revealed that Loki, far from being the cis-het, straight white man that a lot of people seem to think he was, is in fact into, quote, a bit of both. That's come as a bit of a surprise to a number of people on the internet who have literally never read anything about Loki before and who have been spewing vitriol and rage all over the web. But let's take a little look into what Loki is actually like, according to the sources we've got from, well, Norse mythology. Before we dive in, I really want to say thank you to all of my amazing patrons and all of my fantastic followers and subscribers, because we're over 25,000 subscribers now, and that is insane to me. And I have had some amazing gifts and letters and things from you guys in my P.O. box, and I cannot thank you enough. I really cannot thank you enough for all of the wonderful stuff that you've sent me. It's made me feel so much better after my time with COVID, so diolch yn fawr iawn, thank you so much. You guys are all amazing. Right. Let's talk about sexy gods. Let's start with correcting a couple of things. First of all, Loki is not a man. He is a Jotun. And a Jotun is basically a giant. Or a troll. Or a goblin or a demon. He's not a man. He's a supernatural being. His father was a giant. His mother was a giant. Now, the first thing that we need to correct in terms of Marvel's representation is they call him Loki Laufeyson. This implies, according to Scandinavian naming conventions, that Laufey is Loki's father, which in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he is. He is the king of the frost giants of Jotunheim. Unfortunately, that means that Marvel has got rid of a female character, because Laufey is Loki's mother. Laufey is in fact still a popular woman's name in some Scandinavian countries. So, it's really interesting to me that while people are getting all hot and bothered about Loki being, quote-unquote, bi, they're not that bothered that his mum, a female character, has been just erased from the story. That kind of sucks, but it tells you an awful lot. So in terms of the actual evidence that Loki is not straight, what do we actually have? Well, it comes as no surprise to regular viewers that in terms of Viking Age writing about the gods, we haven't really got very much. In fact, almost everything that we have comes from after the Viking Age. So some evidence that we do have comes from the Prose Edda. The Prose Edda is a 13th century collection of poems and stories about Norse mythology that was compiled in the 13th century, so in the 1200s, by a man called Snorri Sturluson. It's also known as Snorri's Edda, it's known as the Younger Edda, it has a few different names. It's a collection of Old Norse language texts, basically. And one of these texts is the Lokasena, and the Lokasena is a flyting scene, so basically an insult argument scene, where all of the gods are having a party, they're having a feast, Odin is there at the head of the table, and then all of a sudden Loki wanders in after slinging insults at the doorman and demands a seat at the table. What does he do? He sits down, he gets a drink, and he starts insulting everybody there. And one of the insults that he keeps going back to for everybody is, "You've had sex with lots of people." Until Odin replies, "You spent 8 years on Earth as a woman and gave birth to children. Like, who are you?" To which Loki replies, "You spent time on Earth as a woman practicing woman's magic, Seidr." And Seidr is, in the Viking Age, a type of Norse magic that's generally considered only suitable for women. In fact, it is specifically stated that it is not suitable for men. So, Odin is practicing women's magic, Loki is shape-shifting into a woman and giving birth to kids, so nobody here is exactly a straight white man, right? How can they be a man if they are gods? Is God man or is man God? Anyway, all of this is to say that from the Lokasena, which is believed to be 10th century, but we don't really have any evidence of that, Loki's tastes are not restricted to women. Loki's tastes are, in fact, not restricted to humans, as far as we can tell, because we also, of course, have the famous story of when the walls of Asgard are built. So the walls of Asgard are being built by a builder, an unnamed builder, who has a horse. And the horse is a super mega strong stallion. Now, this stallion is called Svaðilfari, which may or may not mean unlucky traveller in Old Norse. It's kind of been debated for a little while now as to what the name actually means, but unlucky traveller is a fun name for a horse. And this horse is capable of pulling twice as much weight as this builder, and the Norse gods are a little bit upset because they've promised this guy a load of cash if he can build the walls really quickly. Loki is the guy who got the builder in, so the gods basically go up to Loki and say, you need to fix this because we cannot afford to pay this guy, so you need to stop him. So Loki, after being threatened by the gods, which is a bit of a theme in Norse mythology, really, he leaves the feast in the Lokasenna because Thor threatens to smash his head off his neck with his axe. With his hammer, Mjolnir. Bad Viking historian. So Loki comes up with an idea. He sees this horse, this stallion, this great, throbbing, sweaty beast, and he decides, I'm going to have sex with that. So he turns himself into a mare and he has sex with the horse. He has sex with a horse, you guys. But it's as a horse, so it's cool. But it's as a female horse, so it's technically not cool under some Scandinavian laws of the time, as far as we can tell, even though those were written after the Viking Age. But we do have Viking Age suggestions that being submissive as a partner in sex is unmanly. But then we have boasts of men having had sex with lots of men. So, almost like history is more nuanced than just straight and gay, huh? So Loki has sex with a horse, gives birth to the super horse Sleipnir, who becomes Odin's horse, and he has 8 legs, and he's super tall, and he's super fast, and he's super cool, and he's strong, and he's awesome. And he doesn't appear in any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films yet, which is a shame, because an 8-legged horse would be pretty fun. So Loki, so far, just from the Poetic Edda, has transformed into a woman, had sex with men, given birth to children, human children, transformed into a mare, had sex with a big sweaty daddy stallion, given birth to a super horse. His son is also a wolf, and he himself is a Jotun. Why is him liking men and women a problem again? So this is the thing, is when it comes to stuff like Loki, the trickster Jotun of the Norse mythological pantheon, he who has changed into women, into horses, he's had sex with men and stallions, his son is a wolf, he is sexual partner to giants. The fact that people are getting angry that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in 2021, he says, oh yeah, a bit of both, that just means you're a homophobe. Seriously, guys, read the Prose Edda. There's weird junk going on there, and if you think that the Norse gods are the paragon of straight, white, toxically masculine heterosexuality, you have clearly never read Norse mythology. Somebody liking guys and gals is by no means weird, or wrong, or bad, in real life or in mythology. And if you think it is, then you're a homophobe, and you're not welcome here. Oh, also, to the people who are getting really annoyed that Marvel has all of a sudden introduced a bi Loki, I direct your attention to 2013's Young Avengers number 15, where Loki asks David Allen if he would like to sleep with him because it's New Year's Eve. He then says that on Asgard, they don't really have such issues with sexual identity. It's simply sexual activity, which is actually a really good reading of Norse mythology. There's no specific mention of being gay, being lesbian, being bi. There is sexual activity mentioned. If you are a dominant sexual partner as a man, that's seen as manly. If you are a passive sexual partner as a man, that is seen as unmanly and an insult. What does that mean? Does that mean you cannot have full sex? Does that mean you can't do other stuff? Does it just mean front stuff? Like, does it just mean kissing? Is it okay to kiss and hold hands? Like, is it okay to be gay as long as you don't have sex, according to Norse rules or Danish rules? We don't know. It's 1,000 years ago, you guys, and a lot of it is pretty badly written. Like, this isn't exactly boilerplate legal documents we're talking about here. Also, bear in mind that the Prose Edda is from the 13th century. People believe that some of the contents are earlier, but we don't have that much evidence that it is. So we've got really unreliable sources here. So if your entire view of Loki is based off unreliable source material from 200 years after people stopped worshipping him for the vast majority of cases, you're not really in a position to say that he was or wasn't anything. I mean, come on. He had sex with a horse. Is Loki bisexual? Well, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and in the Marvel comics, yeah, he is. But Loki in the Marvel comics is an alien from Asgard, which in the cinematic universe is a planet, rip in peace, press F to pay respects, or a town. It's now not it's not a planet anymore. It's now a small fishing village in Fife, like an hour's drive from my flat, which is hilarious. There's just no reason to get upset about this at all. If you are upset about this, the reason is because you thought that this dude was you thought that Loki was a straight character until now? Are you serious? Like, have you seen the flirting on screen that he's been doing? Oh my god. So, I don't know what to tell you guys, other than just stop being upset about stuff like this. In the original mythology, we have a character called Loki. They are not a man. They are a Jotun. They are a god. They are a demon. They sleep with men, they sleep with women. They give birth to human children and foals. A TV show in 2021, based on comic books, saying that that character sleeps with men and women, it's entirely canonically correct. According to the original mythology that we have written down, the surviving Norse mythology relating to Loki, yeah, he swings both ways. He's not bisexual. He's not even pansexual or omnisexual. He's just sexual. If it's got a pulse, he'll sleep with it. So stop getting upset over this. It's really not worth it. And it really doesn't look good that you're getting upset over a canonically will sleep with anything character from Norse mythology stating that he will sleep with men as well as with women. We already know this. We know this from the Prose Edda. We are fully aware that Loki has slept with men and has slept with women. Chill out. Read a couple of articles before you get upset that aren't from, like, IHateGayPeople.com. Like, just read a book. He had sex with a horse.